what's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. I got Chris, the artist formerly known as Heavy C. I got One Arm Matt, cracking cans. Tanner is not with us today. He's coaching the youth at flag football. And based on his statistics, 30% of that team has to have autism.
At least
30% of the team has autism.
If they don't now, they will after Tanner coaches them for that.
And then I think the 30% probably includes Tanner with the autism, with the TISM group.
We don't know which one. It's just TISM.
Yeah, 30% of the people involved have autism. And it is the start of college football week. Game started Thursday night, I believe, right? Had the real nail biter with Colorado and North Dakota State.
I didn't watch it. I don't know what I was doing. Something else.
Yeah, I just watched other stuff.
Yeah.
It's some grass to watch.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, there was a lot of games though Thursday night. Like a good handful of them. I was surprised. But there's also like a million college teams.
I used to be a huge college football fan, but I don't know. I guess as I got older, I just got more important stuff to do. I still love college football, but I used to be really into it, like knowing the third string linebacker on the Huskers and stuff like that, where he went to high school, you know, what his stats are, what his rating was when they were trying to get him in the portal. I couldn't tell. I don't even know who the running back is this year. I couldn't tell you.
Well, now it doesn't do you any good. Like people are like, oh, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. How about we see who shows up on opening day? Like kids leave, the transfer portal, who's getting paid what? Like, I don't know. How do you even keep track of who's, like you said, who's on the roster now?
Yeah, I mean, what if there's a good player this year, and what if they all transfer away?
I think the stars thing is kind of getting overrated. Like coming out of high school.
Oh.
Like, oh, they're a 3-star, they're a 4-star. And I'm like, I wonder what the percentage of those actually fucking pan out to do anything are.
It's probably right along the lines with number 1 draft picks in the NFL.
Like Matt Leinart.
Yeah. And what was the other one that came out with Peyton Manning? What was his name? He went to the Chargers, I think.
LaDainian Tomlinson?
No.
Oh, Phillip Rivers?
No, I think maybe it was the year before Peyton Manning. Something like
He's just making up stuff now.
No, let me find it.
All right. Use the internet.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's got to play into the consistency of good programs. If like there's not as strong of a tie. Like before, like you would go to a school, probably because they were giving you scholarship and money and stuff, but like you went to a school for that program to be part of that program. But now if you have the ability to just jump around and do stuff and
oh yeah, they just whore out to the next team that'll pay them basically.
I mean, unless you're going, I mean, even if you're going to the NFL.
Ryan Leaf.
Oh, I forgot about him. Nobody remembers that guy.
That's what I was thinking of. The Colts wisely chose Peyton Manning. And Ryan Leaf went second overall because it was between Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning. And I remember, and then he did go to the Chargers.
Well,
he's the number 1 on this list of busts of like first round picks.
I saw
number one.
I saw a story the other day. Like they let like the players vote on different things, and they voted, like for the most overrated or underrated players. Like, how would you like to be like the overrated?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm making a bunch of money because I'm overrated, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, the most.
But eventually, that's going to end.
Who they vote on?
The most overrated quarterback was what else was his name? The Bills quarterback.
Jim Kelly?
No, current.
Oh, current?
I don't know.
What's his name? I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, why did I just lose his name? I like him too.
I can see his face.
He was the kid from Wyoming that they went back and found a tweet from like 12 years earlier that they thought seemed or like was a racial supposedly tweet, and they drafted it like
I
dropped
remember that story. Yeah,
it's Josh. What's his last name? Fuck, what is
Allen?
Josh Allen. Yeah, God. 2 first names. How can I figure that out?
Shit.
But yeah, he was that, and I mean, I like him. But they're like, he's the most overrated quarterback. The players voted that.
Sorry, we didn't take our Geritol this morning.
Yeah,
it's a little rough in here. Nobody had their insure yet.
God, yeah, what a shitty thing to get voted on. Hey, we did a vote, and You're just the
You're
worst.
just overrated by your own teammates and players, by all your colleagues.
This article about Ryan Leaf's pretty funny, though. Meanwhile, the Bolts set themselves back years by taking Ryan Leaf.
Well, that's not true. They got Philip Rivers shortly after
He
that,
went
though.
4-14 in 18 starts and a 48.8% passer rating.
Wow.
Yeah. What cements his infamy is the price San Diego paid to simply swap. They swapped a number 3 pick to get Arizona's spot for the number 2. So yeah, they were the number 3 pick and they swapped for Arizona, so they had to give up a lot.
Wow.
Eric Metcalf and Patrick Stapp. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Old Ryan Leaf.
Well, then they changed that because now they don't pay him that big first round money, and now they all get those 5-year rookie contracts.
They still get huge signing bonuses, though, right?
I don't know if they've changed all
I'm
that.
pretty sure they do. I was just watching Hard Knocks, and they talk about how big their signing bonuses are still.
I just don't like the 5-year deals and the players don't play them. Like CeeDee Lamb just did that with Dallas. Like, you agreed to the contract, like play it out, but then they hold out and don't show up for camps and all that stuff until they get paid. Which I kind of see both sides. So then why don't they restructure it so a rookie contract is only 3 years? Because 5 years is like a lifetime in the NFL.
Isn't that
Not anymore,
pension?
is it?
Like pension time is
Yeah, but isn't the average lifespan only like 3 to 5 years?
it's less. I thought it was less than 5 because that's like the pension payout.
So yeah, maybe restructure so these rookie contracts are 3 years, but they have to play all 3.
But is there some kind of callback if like you don't show up, that you're essentially in violation of a contract?
Well, yeah, you start getting fined,
Yeah,
but that doesn't help your team.
I mean, yeah, it still fucks over the team, but like make the fine heavy.
More substantial.
See, I think if you
Yeah.
sit out, and like some of those guys who didn't play a season, you know, seen those guys like what Le'Veon Bell did that for the Steelers, then I think you should mandatory. That was your choice, but now as a punishment, you aren't allowed to play the next season. So that puts you out like 2 years.
I mean, I wonder what's his fine?
I think it can get upwards of like tens of thousands a day, if not like 100,000 after so
I'm
long.
just saying, like if you're getting $10 million a year to play and you sit out a year, like you don't get any of that money.
Yeah. But I think that was their choice to set out. Now I think there should be a punishment for that. Because, you know, any other
Do you think
job.
you should have to sit another year?
I mean, let's look at this is a job. Let's look at any other job.
You get fired.
Yeah. So you're done playing. You know what I mean?
But like they're probably treated more like executive suites, right? Where you see C-suite folks get canned, but then they get some kind of financial payout. Like there's golden parachutes attached to a lot of that stuff where even if you fail, you get paid out.
My whole thing is I think this the NFL Players Association the players have way too much power. Do you know what I mean? Like to be
I
able
think
to,
they should cut the salary cap in half and start paying them less. To be honest with you. Why do they need so much money? It's a fucking game.
I mean, I'm all about somebody
People are-
making money.
I mean, you can make money playing the game. I think most of your money should come from endorsements and things like that.
Well, and I think, but my big thing is at least honor the contract that you signed.
Right. That's the thing. It's like if you're voiding the contract, like if contracts get too one-sided, then that's when the power starts to get lopsided.
And just like the whole like the kneeling for the flag and all that stuff or whatever, like you're still at work. Like if you did any other job, if you did something that was against dress code or you did whatever, like you can be written up, you could be fired.
Yeah, like the
I didn't
NFL
watch
could-
the NFL for years a couple years because of that.
No, they have their platform, but you've built a social media following based on your fame.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So that's fine. So then go on your Twitter in the parking lot after the game and
Right.
talk about your
I think if you-
social injustices of you living in your $1 million mansion.
That's the NFL's
Yeah.
decision though. Like if the NFL
that's what I'm saying. They give the players
Right.
way too much power.
But
though.
if the NFL's fine with letting them kneel and do that, like that's fine. And now if the NFL comes back and says no, you can't do that, then that's when like they're not allowed to do that, right? Because you're at work, you're at job.
But then they flip it to
But
you know
the
what I
NFL
mean.
didn't say that,
Right.
and that's what my problem was with the NFL.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you have an issue with the NFL, then yeah, cool. You can do that.
Obviously, you have issue with those players personally because they're doing that
Right.
on their personal level. But then I remember, I think I've talked about this any before because I told I used to do fantasy football and all that stuff. My brother's like, "Hey, they're just not showing the national anthems anymore," and I was like, "Yeah, that's like shitting in your kitchen and covering it with newspaper and then acting like it's not there." It's like that's still not okay. Just because they're not. So basically, they realize there's a problem and then they stop showing the national anthem, but they didn't address the problem, right?
And I get that people play the card like, well, that's their right.
Oh, it is.
It is, but that's not the idea. Like that was just like out of respect for the people who gave you the right to do all those things. Like
You have the right to protest.
it's just like you have the, like you have respect for your grandma. You're not going to punch her just because you can.
No, and I'm not going to punch someone because they're standing for the flag or kneeling for the flag. But like, if they want to, like, if someone wants to burn the flag, and they want to have a peaceful protest like that, like, do I agree with it? No.
I think burning the flag should be a crime.
But that's what. I mean, people fought.
Because here's
for
the thing: if
people
you
to be
hate it
able
so
to
much,
stand up.
if you hate it so much,
But people don't have to hate it. You can just not be happy with how it is and want change. So it's not that you hate it.
yeah. But
Like,
if you want to, you're not going to burn your house down because you don't like how it looks.
well, no, but that's slightly different than like.
Not really.
I think burning
I
the
have
flag,
total control over my house. I don't have total control over the country.
I think the problem is people associate the flag with the government. If you have problems with that, that's you shouldn't. The flag represents the people and what
Right,
And the
like,
people
that's
that
And
fought
I think
for
those
that.
people
Yeah.
that
So I don't,
that
like,
burn
I
the
don't
flag
agree with
understand
burning the
that.
flag, but as far as a protest, like if you're going to protest against something and kneel during the national anthem, like that's your right.
Do you think it should be a criminal offense to burn the flag? I feel like in a lot of other countries, probably get executed for burning the flag.
Yeah, you also can't talk bad about the government and do a bunch of stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And everybody wants to talk bad about how terrible this country is. I'm like, maybe we should go explore a few other countries.
Right, but I don't. But there's people who shit on the country because they're just bitching. There's people who are protesting in whatever way they can try to draw the most attention to their cause. Right. So I mean, this thing, all the civil rights protesting and stuff. And I know they're not burning flags, but like at some point, people were thinking those people were just monsters. Like, why are you out there disrupting all this stuff, causing all these problems? Right. If you don't like it, leave. Do something else.
But that's actually a good thing because look at those people who were doing the civil rights marches were actually being treated very poorly by the government and the people. So, and they still didn't really burn the
But
flag.
there were a lot of people who thought they weren't being treated poorly.
No, I know, but I'm saying those people still didn't burn the flag.
Right.
Where now you have these people who are like, whatever, Palestine or they're for Israel, whatever they are, and they're burning flags. And I was like, it's not even anything to do with, you know what I mean? What's going on?
Yeah, like the context of burning the flag, I'll still say like I don't agree with it. I don't know if I would go so far as to make it against the law. But I don't think it's right. I don't think like there's certain things that you just don't do. Like I don't think they're the right thing to do. But
I actually thought it was a criminalistic offense for the longest time.
I think it was to just disrespectfully burn it. Like if you're, I'll look up because I remember looking that up too. But I think that you can do it in protest.
But isn't that
look
still
it up.
disrespectfully burning at that point?
Hold on.
I mean, you're not even supposed to leave the flag in the dark, technically. You're either supposed to take it down or have a light shining on it.
My porch light shines on it.
You're not supposed to, like, have it on the ground in malice. Like, I mean, there's a lot of...
There's a lot of rules about it. Yeah,
No, like I said, I don't think any of them are, like,
they're not nothing you're gonna get arrested for.
criminal
Yeah, but-
offenses, but...
It is
It's just-
not against the law.
I knew that.
1989 Supreme Court case.
ruled that it's not against the law to burn the flag.
It's protected under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
I get it. I get why it's protected under the First Amendment. I understand, but
I mean, yeah, I do.
obviously it's not okay.
I think it's the intent that you're doing it, right? So there's people feel oppressed and invalidated for a myriad of reasons. And at some point, people like I think the civil rights is a great one to use because like looking back, like if we were to look back at them, I'm like, oh yeah, they were treated like shit. Like they shouldn't have been treated like that.
And I don't think they burned that many flags then.
What I'm like independent of the flag, but if we just look at like why people are protesting and why people think it's like stupid for them to be doing whatever they're doing. Like there were people, I'm sure back then, who thought that those people were like the people who were protesting civil rights and like marching and stuff were just out of line. And they're like, why are you bitching? Like if you don't like it, go to a different country, like move, do something. Like you are not oppressed. You're not whatever. Like this is how you should be treated. Right. Otherwise we wouldn't have had that conflict. And then as time progressed, looking back at that now, we're like, oh yeah, yeah, Jim Crow laws, not the right call. So if flash forward to today, people are protesting because they feel that they are oppressed. They feel like they are not treated fairly, whatever. I think that there's a larger portion of them today who are not valid, right? They're whiners, they want attention and stuff. But some people, like, they might validly feel like they are undervalued, underviewed, oppressed. And so this is their way to protest against that. And
I think those people that are what Brett's talking about now is the pro-Palestine protesters, which is basically a lot of protests. At least those protests were things that are occurring in our own country, right? That people were protesting. This is something that's happened outside of here that they feel like the
And
government.
half that crew doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah, and half them, and they feel like the government's basically on Israel's side, and they've taken a side, and that's why they're burning our flag, because they are against everything that's going on.
Yeah.
When who knows what's really going on? Like,
Right.
you know
And
what I
the
mean?
Intent,
Like,
the intent behind the action, I think, is more important than the action itself.
And none of those people are being oppressed right now that are burning the flag for Palestine.
Right, but
That's what I'm
they're standing up.
saying,
They're
yeah,
standing up for other people. Like there were white folks who marched with black folks during.
Yeah, but in this country, yeah.
Right, but they're in this country, and we've marched. Like there was stuff against Vietnam, stuff against that happened in World War II. I don't know about World War One, but so when people march and they protest for things outside of the country, and most of the time we're like, hey, that's fine.
Sure, but at least Vietnam, we were involved in that conflict.
Mm-hmm.
well, we're probably directly involved in this conflict too, but no one just talks.
I mean, we're
about it.
involved in,
Yeah.
in that because we're supplying stuff to one side, not supplying to the other side, supporting, not supporting.
But
So,
once again,
even
I
though we
feel
don't have maybe boots on the ground.
like there's not enough information to make a
No,
great determination about what is actually occurring and what the United States' role is in what's occurring to have such large protests and hoist Palestinian flags and burn American flags. It's those people. If those people lived in Palestine, they probably would have been drugged through the street and murdered by the way
Oh, yeah.
they act. You know what I mean? So I mean I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me, the type of thing.
I mean, that's a totally different thing. You're not fighting over resource. I mean, they're fighting over land, kind of, but they're like that's more ideology. I mean, that's two people who have been trying to occupy the same chunk of land and are philosophically.
And that place is a
different
shithole
in
anyway.
culture. Well, I mean, it's fucking tiny too. Like
Yeah, it's
Israel's
not a very
fucking
big area.
tiny.
Well, and it's got to be just nothing left. It's been getting bombed
It's
for
not,
like
it's-
decades.
It's rubble and it's beat to shit and stuff. But I mean, we're looking at it from like a Western view versus these people who are two, diametrically opposed cultures who have been in conflict for thousands of years.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
like
know.
you're not gonna like we don't understand how like ingrained that is into that area. Not like the people, but like the culture, the area. Like it's a totally different conflict than even like I'd say the stuff we had in Afghanistan and Iraq. Like yeah, definitely different culture thing, but there were more tangible things at stake there. Whereas Israel Palestine is again two cultures who are essentially like oil and water. Like the way that they've been structured and the way that it's been passed down from generation to generation. So it's nothing that we're gonna solve. Like no one's gonna solve it.
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever been. I mean, it was quiet when the Trumpster was in there.
It was pretty quiet.
There wasn't a lot going on over there. I don't know who had what, but there was no.
So basically, I think what you were trying to say is that it pisses you off when you see the flag getting burned. I feel exactly the same way. It pisses.
I just
me
think
off, too.
disrespect. I get you have the right to, but like you said, the flag
it's
is
blatant disrespect.
the
I mean, I
flag
think
isn't
you
the
could still-
government. It's,
yeah,
it's about the people who risked everything. And not that it's not about the veterans now because they're defending that flag, but the flag was created by the people way back, the forefathers way back, who literally would have been executed if they didn't win.
Yeah. You want to talk about fucking skin in the game.
Like George Washington was a treasonist.
Right. Like
If he would not have won, like game over.
yeah, done. Yeah, you
So
want
like
to talk about like
I think it's even going back to respect those guys, and then you have people who are like, well, he was a slave owner. Dude, okay, like being a slave owner back then, I am not agreeing with it. I'm just saying it was what it was. No one thought it was weird because everyone had them. You know what I mean? It's like it was just in the culture.
yeah, the slavery thing is it's something stupid to leverage. I mean, if you look at like Portugal's had slaves, I think that's the example country that has had slaves almost longer than anyone else in the Western world.
I mean,
Yet they
Missouri
are-
had slavery on their books until like the 80s.
But I'm saying like you leverage slavery as being this thing that built the country and did all these things, and it's the only reason that XYZ happened. Portugal and a number of other countries had slavery for a long, long time. They did not accomplish what the U.S. accomplished. Additionally, the U.S. and Britain are the only two countries who, of their own accord, abolished slavery.
And faster than anyone else.
Right. They were just like, hey, I mean, was there conflict and some people wanted to keep them and some people didn't? Yeah, 100% there was.
Well, yeah, and slavery in general goes way back to, I mean, biblical times, like the Egyptians. You know what I mean?
Right. Like the slavery itself isn't something new.
No, but yeah. So the to me the flag goes way back to
Yeah.
what the people went forward to give us the freedoms that we have.
Right. Like, do I agree with it? No.
Like that freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not saying you can't do it. Like you can't kneel for the flag, but
You can think less of people for doing it. Like, that's totally fine.
I just think by kneeling for the you're not. To me, you don't prove anything by kneeling for the flag.
I mean,
Especially when you're come from a rich, affluent family and you're making tons of money in the NFL and you want to talk about how you're oppressed.
right, but they might be using their platform because they came from a bad place to now this better place, and they're saying, hey, like, I still disagree with all these things. Maybe they think that I mean, there's a shit ton of reasons that they can. So if they want to use that as a platform to do that, cool. A lot of people use their platform for stuff that I'm like, I don't think, I don't agree with that. But like, you have that platform, and if they feel that way, cool. Like, I don't have to personally like them or approve of what they're doing, but I don't know, honor's not the right word, but like, you allow that behavior because it is protected. Like, that's what makes this place so cool, is like, you can do that. Like, if you want to kneel or you want to stand, like, fuck yeah, man. Like, that's why we get the choice to do that stuff. That makes it pretty fucking cool. Again, you don't have to agree with it, and we don't have to like I can personally not like them, not buy their product, not support their brand. Lots of consequences that come
Well,
with
and Colin Kaepernick's proved to be a piece of shit anyway. So
So what we're saying is it's free speech is great and it's a great thing. So being that it's college football game day, if you are a Husker fan, you see a Hawkeye fan, feel free to talk shit to him. Because you can do that because, you know, I love messing with the Hawkeye fans. It's one of my favorite pastimes. And it would be nice if the Huskers could actually win some fucking games so I could talk more, so I could talk some more shit, you know, but
instead of just wearing your 94, 95 championship shirt.
Don't ask me about 95. That's right. I was there. I was 14. It's great. Anyway, the Hawkeyes fans are some of my favorite people. They've given me years of joy because I like messing with them so much. I just had to throw that in there to try to break this up a little bit.
I appreciate the fun banter back and forth where like college fans, like they're giving each other shit, but like it's just in fun rather than oftentimes you go there and it's like people just get super defensive and mad. Like if you're wearing, I think the NFL is probably worse. Where you wearing?
You don't want
like,
to go to a
opposing
Raiders
team
game
jersey.
wearing a Kansas City.
Right? Like you wear an opposing team jersey to that stadium.
or like those scumbag fucking Eagles fans.
They are terrible.
Shit, they're fucking dirtbags.
Yeah,
Jesus.
and even Eagle fans will say that they're dirtbags.
Dude, all the Giants fans.
I mean, I don't know of a single NFL stadium that's like, oh yeah, no, they have great fans that are super welcoming.
Dude, I went down for a Cowboys Chiefs game and those fucking Chiefs fans were fucking dirtbags. The real, you know what? They're probably the real fans because they weren't that good then. All these fucking new bandwagon fans like Tanner. These fucking, oh man, I
Tanner.
love the Chiefs. Oh yeah. Did you like it when fucking Joe Montana was their quarterback? Were you following him then?
I've never liked the Chiefs. Never. And
Why?
I just never have liked the
Like,
Chiefs.
did you not like? Did you dislike them, or you just never liked them?
Well,
I
when I was
visually never liked them.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. When I was a kid, I was like, "Those fucking uniforms suck."
It looks like ketchup and
That's
mustard.
fucking. What is that thing? I mean, this is horrible. I don't. That's why I didn't like
mid
them.
'90s college football jerseys were the best, with like the perforated midriff shirts and the big horse collars on all the like.
And everybody tucked them in.
Yeah, like those were the best. Those were fucking best. There's one of them. The clip comes up every now and then with Joel Makovica, like where he's got the big cowboy collar on, fucking giant oversized fullback pads, and he's just trucking through someone, smashes someone, rolls on top of him, but his butt rolls over their back, and he gets up and like rumbles downfield for the touchdown.
I believe he's never lost a yard.
I believe that guy was a fucking monster.
I think he's the only. I think he's every time he ran the ball, he always had positive yards. He never lost a yard. I'm pretty sure that's
Didn't that '95 team never give up a sack and never had a holding call? Those guys were also all shredded on the line.
That I think for up until some point, like late 80s into the 90s, there was some stat of all the starting linemen for UNL could bench like 500.
Dude, the drugs were so awesome then.
So good. Oh yeah. So that the clinic we were talking about down at UNL.
Yeah.
So we're down there.
Clinic as in football.
As in
clinic,
drugs,
not, yeah.
like taking drugs with the players.
Yeah, there's. I'm not sure,
Like
but Matt and I may have.
football-
We might have
Yeah.
been at the same.
Yeah,
same
Matt and I
point.
may have been at the same football camp.
Yeah.
But
when
so
we were kids.
This was one of the guys I was in high school with was a year older than me. He was also down there, and like in the middle of the practice, like he just has to go shit real bad, and so like the coaches and everyone like give him hell, and so he just runs off to the locker, goes to shit, and like in the bathroom there, it's just rows of toilets with like little short cinder block walls between each one of them. And so Ryan goes and he just sits down on one and starts shitting. Dominic Raiola comes in and walks past him to the other end. And Ryan's like, "Phew, he's going to shit down there." Grabs a newspaper, walks all the way back down and sits in the stall right next to Ryan and just like leans on the wall right next to him and is reading the paper and just starts talking to him about stuff that's in the paper. And so Ryan just like can't shit anymore and he gets super nervous. So he wipes and he moves down like 3 or 4 toilets. Raiola doesn't do any, he just stands up, doesn't pull his pants up or anything, walks down and sits down in the one right next to him and starts talking to him again. And eventually Ryan's like, "Whoop, don't have to poop anymore."
Yeah.
Man.
Those are the good days of college football.
Good. Like it was, and that Underground Heroes, Jason Peters book, like when they talk about Lincoln in the mid 90s was just fucking wild.
I'm sure it was.
Social media and the news in those days would have really
It
brought
couldn't
some
be.
attention.
It could not be like it. It will never be like that
They
again.
had a defensive line. Have you guys read that book?
No.
Highly recommend it. Like it's a pretty good book just in general to see his journey. The amount of drugs that dude did and didn't die. He took either 60 or 120 Ambien and drank a 175 of vodka and woke up the next day.
Oh, at one time he took that
At
Ambien?
one time, like he threw those down the hatch and chugged the bottle, trying to kill himself, and then woke up the next day just feeling.
Well, he was a big boy. So
he was a big boy.
yeah.
This was
I remember when him and his
post
brother were
Carolina.
on the Huskers, and there was some clip of them working out together, and I don't remember which one it was, but picked the other one up over his head and like pressed him over his head. And I was like, oh my God, that is not like wrestling like with momentum. He like picked him up and just pressed him and then set him back down. And I was like, that dude had to be super strong.
They had in the cafeteria I think they all ate in the cafeteria because they didn't have like an athletes hall at the time, but they had like they had the cafeteria, but then they had like athletes meals where they had like steak and whatever else they wanted, and then they had like the rest of the students ate just slop. Yeah. They had a defensive line table there, and like no one could sit in there, and if they saw anyone sitting there at any time during the day, they would just come over and beat them up. Or
Starting defense, place at the table.
yeah, or like he would talk about how some of the janitors who would like be in there cleaning, they would see people at the table like, "Hey, you got to move," and they'd like kick people off the table and like try to keep that table so people didn't sit there, because if anyone on the D line saw them there, they'd just come and like beat them up.
I was talking to somebody the other day about the program, and they hadn't seen it.
Ugh.
Oh man,
You
that's
think-
such a great
I
movie.
love that. You think Latimer's on steroids? No, I think it's what happens when you hit the gym hard all summer.
Yeah, anybody can get 25 pounds of muscle in
He
one
just like
summer.
throws the bar down. He's like kicking it. And he gets that
Doesn't he
starting
get the
spot.
starting, like headbutts all the windows.
Yeah, he goes,
Yeah.
puts his head through that window. Starting defense, place at the table. Fucking head through the window.
I think the nastiest part is when they spit in each other's mouths before they go out there. I'm like, all right, that's a little.
Wasn't that Bill Romanowski that spit in that guy's face in a game?
Yeah, and I think it might. Was it Shannon Sharp that he spit? No, it wasn't Shannon Sharp. He spit in somebody's face and it like got in their mouthpiece, and they like you could see them like mouthing it. And I'm like, oh God, that's so horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, Romanowski was such a dirtbag when he played, but that's what made it fun to watch, though. You know, I miss players like that.
College football was such fucking savagery back then.
Bo Jackson and old fucking what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. He played for Oklahoma. was supposed to be some good linebacker. Bo Jackson ran him
Oh, the
over.
Boz.
Yeah, Brian
Bosworth.
Brian Bosworth.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Bosworth was crazy, though.
He was fucking crazy. He used to puke on people.
Well, how about Lawrence Taylor just doing like coke and shit?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's the good old days, man. When you back in when you couldn't go over the middle, or the linebackers would just rip your fucking, like, literally rip your head off. That's why there was no passes caught over the middle in the 70s, because they would kill you.
Yeah, like you come
Yeah.
across the middle, they just fucking smoke show.
Yeah. So
You're talking about the neck rolls, man. I
Did
being
you
a
have
Cowboys
one?
fan, fucking Daryl Johnson had the cowboy collar, that massive neck roll.
yeah.
Where was the one that came? It was the first one that came up out of the jersey, and it was like that
Oh,
half.
yeah.
Dude, Daryl Johnson used to just fucking murder people across there.
I wonder why that went away. It seemed like
They
it got.
don't really do much. Like I had one because of like if my head didn't get pushed straight down, it got pushed off to a side at all. Like that side arm would just go numb.
Yeah, I don't know if they thought like because they made those new speed helmets, like the hits weren't, but now they just hit faster and harder.
Yeah, I mean if you wanted to reduce the impact, just take the face piece off.
Or give them leather helmets again.
Yeah.
I took all my gear home one time when I played high school football, and I forgot to bring my tailbone pad back. And I was like, it's just a fucking tailbone pad. It won't be that big of a deal. That was the biggest fucking mistake of my year.
You get hit from the people hitting it from the back a lot, are they?
When you fall down, you don't realize when you if you fall down, you tackle somebody and you hit your.
You tackled somebody? I figured you were an O-lineman.
No, I played both sides when I played.
Giggity.
What'd you weigh then?
I might still.
Were you
have
a
some of my-
striper?
I might still have some of my pictures. There wouldn't. I played. I didn't
If people
play.
don't know what
I didn't play
stripers are-
I didn't play pee wee ball, so no.
If you don't know what stripers are, if you play pee wee ball and you weigh too
Yeah.
much, they make you put a stripe on your helmet.
If you weigh enough, that's the thing.
that's a
If you
way
weigh
better
eno-
way of putting
Yeah,
it.
if you weigh enough, you get to have a stripe.
And then that
Yeah.
was, I remember that was the thing. Oh, we got like 10 stripers on our team, so we're going to be dominating this year. Oh, so you have 10 fat kids. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are just fat. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just
The stripers coming at you.
fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
We got rid of the league I coached here in town, and the MYFL had stripers for a long time, like all the way through. And then I think the last time I coached was like 17, 18, something like that. But like 3 or 4 years before then, at 7th and 8th grade level, we got rid of stripers at the Pee Wee League because like you head into like junior high ball, you don't have stripers, and then you go to high school and you don't have stripers. And that was probably like the best thing we did, and really cool to like start giving some of these big kids ball.
I played defensive line, but then there was this.
Like, were you an end or a tackle?
I was an end.
A
No, I was a
tackle
tackle
or
I'm sorry, I was
nose
a
guard?
tackle. Nose guard. And then there was this group when we were at goal line, we had the packaged beef O line, is what our coach called it. And I was on the packaged beef team because I was a big boy, and so I was short, so I could always, there was a big defensive lineman, it was easy for me to get under them to block them because I was short and fat. So I was on the packaged beef. Then it was like we'd put in like our
Give me the 80-20.
and then put it in our, and then we'd all run out there and just blow people off the ball and like in our goal line. It was basically our goal line stance. So I forgot about that till we were just talking about it right now. That's funny, man. Some of the stories that I had from playing at North High, some of the stuff my coaches used to say to us and things that they did.
Oh,
It was
dude.
You could
different.
not fucking get away with anything like that.
Dude, I got knocked out, like, legitimately out cold, smelling salts to wake me up, and I still had to go do sprints. Like, he's like, oh, I'm just going to hang out here till Fillingsley does his sprints. And I'm just like, still cross-eyed, throwing up, and he's just like, nope. It's like, okay.
I remember getting like
Stupid.
sick because we had like our A team and B team, and the A team game was over and the B team would always just play after. And I felt like shit, and my coach just kept hitting my helmet with his ring on. It was cold as shit that day too. He's like, "How you feeling? How you feeling?" He keeps hitting it. And I was like, "This is awful."
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah, like
That noise that would make that bing. when
Right.
it
It's
hit
like
somebody.
funny to look back now and stuff, but like from a coaching view, like it was terrible coaching. Like it didn't do anything.
It was just coached violence.
I remember when Creighton Prep was really good and we were going to play them, and everyone was the buzz. We were undefeated that year so far, and the buzz around the school was like, "Oh man, we're playing Creighton Prep." Coach was so mad. He comes in, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to say Creighton Prep, and everybody raise your hand if you shit in your fucking pants when I say Creighton Prep." "Oh, nobody's shitting their pants? All right, cool. Then we can quit talking about it."
So would we. We started tackle football in like 7th grade. So it was 7th, 8th, and then freshman, and then you could play like JV or varsity.
Yeah.
But like the referees would be like local. So me and a buddy of mine played defensive ends like 8th grade and freshman year. And his dad was one of the officials. And he'd be like talking to like whatever the quarterback, he's like, he'd just walk by you, knock number 12 out of his fucking cleats. And he'd just like walk by. Oh man, we used to just like, we went undefeated like 7th and 8th grade year. And then I think freshman year, we went undefeated too. And then I got in trouble in one of the games. We were just crushing these guys, and I fucking tackled this kid, and I started doing push-ups. Got in trouble for that. But yeah, we just were out there to fucking... We got rid of 2 quarterbacks, and they had to bring their 3rd string in. Because we rushed both ends, and I had him by his jersey swinging him one way, and my buddy from the other side just fucking smoked him from the opposite direction. Oh man, there's nothing better than hurting somebody. Fuck, so good.
I remember when we used to get in trouble and coach would be like, oh, we're doing tackling drills all day. And then by the end of it, you're like leaving and you can't lift your right arm anymore. And you're like, oh,
Right.
man, this sucks.
So you guys did Oklahoma drill and like Alabama drill.
Yeah. That's where you have the 3-on-3 basically.
Yeah, you can do like,
Yeah.
so I can't remember. I think
I think they outlawed those now, didn't they?
So I think so for high school ball, you're only allowed so many minutes a week of full contact,
That's fucking
It's
lame.
like
I felt like we
45
were
minutes or
always out
something
there
like
just
that.
getting destroyed. Yeah.
which I think is great. Like when the last few years that I coached, probably the last 8 years I coached, I think we had a really good system, but we would practice Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then we used to have like Saturday walkthroughs, and then we're like, why are we doing this? Like we don't need this. And so
I
we
guess
got
we only
rid of
had 3
those.
because we had like film on Monday, and then
Yeah.
Thursday was light and Friday was game.
Yeah.
So you really only had like 2 days of like
Yeah, and so we
full
had
contact.
We ended up having Tuesday night was our full contact night, but we would do full contact for maybe the first. We would do like our conditioning, get all the stuff, but we only did full contact pads, everything for maybe 30 to 45 minutes a week. Other than that, it was just going to be like helmets and shoulder pads, sometimes just helmets, and going through stuff to like reduce the impact on the kids and stuff. And like we didn't see any negatives from kids being like, oh, they need to stay in contact, they need to do all this stuff. Like there's so many things you can do to stay aggressive.
If we like Thursday,
Yeah.
we would do like a walkthrough, and it'd be like number 1 offense versus number 2
Yeah.
defense, or whatever. And if you broke through and like you even touched the quarterback, you were like, they'd just call you like, oh, what are you, like a fucking Thursday hero?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you guys ever do the ones where you laid on your back, helmet to helmet, and the coach would hold the ball over you, and he'd be like, "Who's getting it? Who's getting it? Who's getting it?" And then whoever he dropped it on got up and had to run.
Yeah. So that's
and then the other one would have to try to tackle him.
Yeah.
that used to be one of my favorite ones.
so that one's either Oklahoma or Alabama. I don't, because one of them is like 1-on-1,
And then
and
there's-
one of
there's
them is
the
where there's like
2-on-2 or 3-on-3.
2-on-2 with a linebacker and then a running back.
Yeah.
But everyone starts in the back and they jump up, and at first I remember running that drill a lot with the kids and stuff, and then at some point we're like, what are they learning? Like how often are we going to start on our back, jump up as quick as we can, and then run forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I always liked it, but I
mean,
get what you're
it's-
saying.
Yeah, I mean it's violent, and so like it teaches you some contact, but also teaches you contact in like compromised positions and stuff. So it was just kind of like, so we like got rid of that. Went towards like the last 2 years, we did a lot of like the rugby tackle stuff. Like we watched a lot of Pete Carroll's, because Pete Carroll was one of the first in the NFL to like, I believe it was, was one of the first to bring over like rugby tackling to the NFL for.
I guess I don't even know what that is.
So
What's
like
that?
rugby tackles are never head on. Like a rugby tackle, you're always at some kind of angle, and you're not so focused on getting your head in front or do anything, but you're hitting at the waist and you're wrapping up the legs and you're rolling, but it's a controlled roll. Like you're not just grabbing them at the knees and like trying to twist the knees. You're grabbing at the
They
waist.
banned that now, haven't they?
They've banned like striking at the knees to hit, but
But
it's
they do
still
with quarterbacks where you can't do that fall, like where you can't use your body weight to pull them down.
yeah. But so like the rugby tackle had to be converted a little bit to football because it's a lot more violent and a lot more contact, but it was less about, oh, like head in front, hit the shoulder, or like drive through, or like head to chest kind of stuff. And it was more about hitting and turning to hit and pull them down rather than just trying to crush and drive them down. And like when we started teaching the kids that were a little softer on tackling started to tackle better Because like, oh, I don't have to just like stand in front of this kid and fucking get trucked. I can use this leverage and this angle to take it over and do that. So that was really cool. I don't know if the NFL still goes that route. I mean, I feel like there's only a very finite area that you can hit anyone to try to tackle them anymore.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible, all the targeting and shit.
I mean, if you do, I think the targeting and like hitting with the crown and stuff is cool. I do think it should be called on the ball carrier more frequently. Like if the ball carrier dips his head to lead with the crown, like that should also be a targeting.
I think we all make choices. Let them play.
That's how I feel about it. I'm tired of this shit.
Did you remember Mike Allstott? Dude, Mike Allstott would just run headfirst into people.
Yes. Chris, Chris is what's his name? What's his last name? The ESPN guy that used to always do the sound effects.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd always make those noises when he's showing like the best of the week. What is his name? Chris something. I can't think of it.
Yeah. Dude, I love that dude. He had that giant neck roll, and he was like kind of squatty, and he would just run right into people.
Oh, Mike Allstott.
Just head first, and then he would like stand there for a second, and then just like keep moving. Yeah, just let him play. We all make choices. Sign a contract. Be like, if you get CT, you can't come after us later.
I have said that before too. Okay, you're going to tell me you're 22 years old. You just got out of college. You're going to the NFL, and they're saying, "Hey, we're going to give you $10 million a year, whatever it is." But when you're 40, you're probably not going to be able to walk very well.
And you might
you're
be
gonna
retarded.
have huge migraines, and you might not remember your wife's name.
Still want to sign? Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
they're all gonna
Yep,
sign.
exactly.
Yeah, they're all gonna sign.
Then shut up.
'Cause
Then
they're
shut
gonna be like,
up.
Oh, it's not me.
Because
Shut
what's the
up.
percentage?
Yeah.
CTE actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think the CTE, a lot of that comes from practice. Like linemen are.
Have you seen
notorious
them
for getting
big?
it.
They're gonna let them wear those in games.
There are
Those are gonna be allowed in games. I heard.
those big
I don't know if they're a
cushiony
big
helmet things.
benefit to them.
I
There's
think you
gotta
could,
be.
You could probably
Everybody's
hit
wearing
harder.
Right. So I mean, you just hit with your head more and stuff, but it's like,
I think it's just absorb the impact so they don't get so much trauma to their head. But
I don't know, because don't you think that people are going to hit each other harder now? It's kind of the same thing. If you were wearing
the
a
same as the
box,
speed
if you were
helmets.
wearing, if you didn't have a glove on your hand and you were like, "Hey, punch that door as hard as you can," right? You're probably not going to go full force. But if you put a boxing glove on, you're going to give it everything you got. You know what I mean? Same kind of thing. If you give them more padding.
well, that's something
You
that was
know?
with the speed helmets when they made those, which were supposed to be safer. They just hit harder.
Yeah.
They give them smaller pads and fucking safer helmets, so they can be faster and have little care of hitting harder. But I think that's got to be part of their contract. You can't come back after us for CTE. This is a life choice you've made.
Yeah. And again, the NFL is never supposed to be a 20-year career. You're supposed to go there and play for 5
No.
years, get some money, and then
but
move.
the intent,
That's why
the intent and I think from the targeting standpoint isn't so much like if you happen to just lead with it and you hit like, okay, cool. But like there are players who come in intentionally,
Hey,
crown
dude,
of the helmet into the side.
Dennis Bird learned how to walk again. Okay, it's fine.
You've definitely
Yeah.
dated yourself there.
And he hit his own teammate.
You know how many people have no idea who you're talking about?
So if you don't know, Dennis Bird played for what the
Eagles.
Jets,
No,
Eagles,
it was the Eagles. That was the Eagles.
and he went to
A team
tackle and
that
actually
a team
ran.
that wore green. Let me look.
Yeah, and then he went when he hit his teammate like wasn't on the tackle and broke his neck. But he ended up learning to walk. He didn't play again,
Yeah.
but he did learn to walk again.
It's like the thing that frustrates me with, I mean, mostly in the NFL.
Who was that guy a couple years back where they froze him right away? You remember that where he broke his neck or some of his spine and they put him on
yeah.
ice right away.
You were right. It was the Jets.
And they put him on ice right away to keep his
Yeah.
spine from swelling, and then he actually made like a full recovery. But I don't know. I don't think he came back to play. But I don't think he really had like a crazy amount of problems from that. Look that up, Chris. It wasn't for the
that?
Bills.
I don't.
Who are we talking about?
The guy that broke his neck and they put him on ice right away. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. They like froze him almost to keep his spine from.
Yeah, Dennis Bird does walk now. So
Yeah,
Bills player.
I think it was a Bills player that broke his neck and they like iced him right away, so there would be no spinal swelling.
That's wild.
And then I think he had like a really good like recovery from it. Did you find it?
07 maybe?
It's been a while, yeah.
Kevin Everett.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think he broke his neck, but he's fine though.
Everett's playing career came to an end when he sustained a fracture and dislocation of his cervical spine.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, you can hit head on. These guys are fine.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
We'll just keep a giant bucket of ice ready to go. Just lay you guys down.
There's nothing about that in here. Let's see if I can find it.
That's always when you're watching a game and you're like, oh, here comes the cart.
Would you remember when wasn't that a college game? There was that runaway cart and it like took out fucking 15 people. You ever seen that video? No. Oh man, you've never seen that video? Yeah, it's like a runaway cart in football game, and it's one of those carts, and it's just like comes out of nowhere and just starts mowing people down.
Dude, it's always you see somebody go down, you're like, oh, I wonder if they're okay, and then in the distance you just see the fucking guy on the cart coming. You're like, oh, that guy's fucked. Bring out the cart. They start waving him in. Oh man,
Looks like it was at a Cowboys game.
Nobody like that guy's chasing it.
Who is the dude that just fell out?
It's slow motion.
And like, no, they're all watching it happen. They still stand in front of it. Oh, that's great. They're all
I can't
fucking.
believe you guys have never seen that.
They're all just watching it happen too.
And then they're trying to stop it. It looked like somebody definitely did
man.
that. They jammed a cone into it, it looks like, and then fucking sent it on its way. Yeah.
That's like as good as watching the streaker come out and thinking he's won, and then you got that one security guard that just levels him.
He's
whole
been
life.
training forever for this. Yeah.
Just
Wearing his high school championship ring.
It looks like Goldberg.
I got this motherfucker.
He looks like Goldberg. He just fucking spears him.
Oh, there was the soccer player Messi has like a personal security guard who's like on the field with him. And there was a string of videos where it showed like people who are streaking or like they come running out to like touch him. And this dude just comes out and fucking blasts these people. He's just jacked beard, bald suit.
You know
and
what?
just fucking crushes these people.
No headgear. He's still dropping people. You know, you don't see him complaining.
Yeah, exactly. He's not getting paid fucking $20 million a year.
Yeah. Well, he might be.
So, yeah.
Actually, because Messi's got a fucking ton of money.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's college football starting.
Yeah. Go Big Red.
What's your Husker predictions, Chris?
For this year?
Yeah. What's their record?
Man, I don't know. I think you're probably going to be right.
14 games.
I think they're going to win the 7 that you predicted.
No, I said that they wouldn't win 7.
Do they? What did you? I don't remember.
My
What
bet
did
with
you-
Tanner is they won't win 7 games.
that they won't win 7 games.
And I am a Husker fan. I just
Excuse me.
Here,
think we
let's
haven't had a win.
peruse the schedule
Somebody said
again
Mike
here.
Riley had a winning season. I thought Pelini was our last winning season. Did Riley have the first season as a winning season?
I thought Riley came
I
in
think
with
his
a good season.
first season
like,
was winning.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's always the problem is with Nebraska. There's always a ton of hype. Like every year, it's like, oh, our recruiting class was top 25. You know, but the Big Ten has gotten more difficult this year.
So I think we're going to win today
I would
against Utah.
Fucking hope so, and we should beat Northern Iowa.
And then Colorado's at home this year. So
I think
we
they're
got
picking
that.
Colorado to win right now, aren't they?
I haven't looked at that. And then Northern Iowa's at home. So I think the Huskers could start out. Man, I think we beat Illinois too. These are night games too.
You remember
3
Illinois?
night-
Isn't Illinois beat us like the last 3 years?
Yeah, but we're still at home again this year.
fighting the Illini.
But that means they beat us at home if they've won in the last like 3 years.
They probably did. Man, really, if you look at our schedule, the toughest game is until we play Ohio State.
But do you think there's 7 wins there?
Okay, so UTEP 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. If they win all their games up until Ohio State, that'd be 7 wins.
And then after we play Ohio State, then who is it?
It's UCLA.
I heard
you got
UCLA is not that
USC,
great, but I don't know.
Wisconsin, and then Iowa. So
At Iowa this year.
At Iowa this year. Yeah. So, like I said, the first game's UTEP. That's a win. Colorado's probably a 50-50. Northern Iowa's a win. So, right there, if you're looking at 3-0, Illinois at Nebraska, I still think that's a win. That's a win. Purdue.
They beat us last year.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Will you shut up?
I'm
I know you're trying to be. I'll always look at the schedule. I'm of the minds. When I look at the schedule for the Huskers, I think of them as being good, and then I look at these teams. And I'm like, there's no fucking way we're going to lose to Purdue, But then I forget. You know what I'm saying?
I would love for Nebraska to be great.
Then Rutgers at Nebraska. We can beat Rutgers. Come on.
I would love to be a part of that because I wasn't a Husker fan of the night. I would love to be a part of a national championship community again. I would fucking love them to
I think
destroy everybody.
The tough games obviously are going to be Colorado, and then Illinois.
Who are the top 10 teams this year?
Well, Ohio State's number 2. USC's 23. Iowa's 25 right now. So technically, the Huskers could be 7-0 when we play Ohio State
And then go
at
7-7.
Ohio State.
Top 10 right now: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, or Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State. Missouri is number 11 right now.
So last year, the opener was against Minnesota. We lost 13-10. Then we played Colorado.
And lost
36-14. Then we beat Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech. Then Michigan rolled us up 45-7. Illinois beat us 20-7, but that was at Illinois. We beat Northwestern. We beat Purdue last year by 31-14.
Oh, okay.
So we rolled
Good.
Purdue up. Maryland beat us. Wisconsin beat us. Iowa beat us. So Purdue's going to be a win again. I think.
Iowa beat us last year?
Huh?
Iowa beat us last year?
Yeah, 13-10.
Why did I think we beat Iowa last year?
So I thought wasn't that the game like we were leading and doing well, and then like the last little bit we shit the bed. I thought
That's the going rate. Here
Yeah,
at
that was most of those
Nebraska.
games that you just named off. Close games.
that's the general synopsis
Yeah,
for
that
most
was,
games.
hey, you just summed up the whole year. Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Things are looking great. Oh,
Oh,
never mind.
yeah, we'll find a way to fuck it up.
That's poop in my pants.
Yep. So, I don't know, man. I don't think Colorado's. I think Colorado got lucky last year against us, and if they would have played us later in the season, we would not have lost to them. And I think that we were playing well in the beginning of that game, and obviously the turnover.
We had Jeff Sims, and he was a piece of shit.
So
And the Sanders magic got us.
I'm just saying.
No, if we beat, let's say if we beat Colorado, I think that's going to give us a lot of momentum, right?
I think so too.
So if we beat Colorado,
But if they let Travis Hunter get behind anyone, he is gonna fucking eat us alive.
Well,
that dude is so fast. That
so,
receiver.
if we
Did you
beat-
see that catch he had against North Dakota State?
no, I told you I was doing something else.
Oh well, they showed the highlight like multiple.
I
Dude,
mean-
he was like falling down and reached behind the fucking defender and grabbed the ball as he was falling out of bounds. That kid's and he plays both ways.
Fucking athletic.
So anyway, if we beat Colorado,
So you
I
think Colorado's the determining factor?
Oh,
for the
of
season?
course, I think so. Because if you get a lot of momentum going into that game, then you played Northern Iowa, which is a nice tune-up game after playing Colorado, obviously. Then it's Illinois and Purdue.
You know the biggest problem with, I think, and it's not just Nebraska, a lot of these college programs is they play to whoever they're playing.
Yes,
That's what
that is-
most. I mean, that's what
yeah.
separates great people, like the great athletes from.
And that's where, like,
rest of us.
we were talking about that Andy Purcell thing because we have a skate deck in the backboard and it says 100-0, and I didn't know what it was at first, but that's his thing. He's like, I'm playing to win 100-0. I don't give a fuck how bad or good you are. And that's how, dude, we used to play like, we wanted to do like, because what's in high school football, if you're up by, what is the number of points? They run a continuous clock. Is it 50 points? The 50-point rule?
At Pee Wee, it's 28.
I think we'd like, because when I played, when Harlan's got a fucking legendary football program in high school football in Iowa, and like it would just be continuous clock at the 50-point rule. It used to be at halftime. I think they would end the game if you're up by
It
50
was up to
after
the
halftime.
coaches. Like the coaches could decide.
Otherwise, it was continuous clock, and that's what I'm talking about. I don't care, dude. I don't care about unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm gonna shove it down your fucking throat for as long as I can.
Because
Because you know what? That gives your second and third string guys to play. That's what I think how Nebraska's dynasty lasted in the 90s, because those second and third string guys got so much playing time because they were always just dominating people.
Listen,
So when you bring your second string guys in and they've had more playing time than some of these fucking other teams' first string guys have, dude.
that used to always be Nebraska's thing. They'd always hate on Tom Osborne because they're like, oh, he's running the score. He's like, my fucking third string team's in there scoring on you. That's your fault.
yeah,
Yeah,
You know
dude,
what I
fuck
mean?
that.
There was,
Shove
there
it
was
down
a
their
high school
fucking
team.
throat.
Yeah.
Maybe it was upwards of 20 years ago that had they were a high school team. I don't remember the state. They weren't like the biggest size, but they were like kind of in the middle. But they would crush people in the season and stuff, and then they'd be putting in their backups and doing all the stuff. Then they'd get to the championship, and they lost like 2 or 3 state championships in a row because they would have to play like their starters and stuff, but their starters didn't get all that much playing time throughout the season. So the next year after that second or third loss, he was like, fuck it. And so he left his starters in for 75% of every game. And they were crushing people like 80 something nothing, like just murdering people. And the paper was like giving him shit. And he's like, hey, we need to win state championships. And this is why. And so then they started and they won like 4 state championships in a row. doing that, but like regular season, they were beating people 70-0, 70-3, stuff like that.
Dude,
for that reason.
I'm out here to crush fucking souls.
Yeah.
I like nasty defenses too. Like you decleat somebody, you don't help them up, you just walk away.
Oh no, I think it's actually more embarrassing when they help you up.
Nah, I don't know.
Like you just destroy them
yeah.
and you're like, give them a hand to help them up.
Yeah. There's, and I think that
And you say like, this won't be the last time.
it's a fine line, like smashing someone in the ground, like depending on what it is. Because like I've been parts of teams that have been on the receiving ends of just getting our dicks kicked in for an entire game, and then been on the other side where like we had the opportunity to just completely crush people, so even their grandkids were sad. And like some of it was like there was the one team that stands out a lot was this. It was the Osborne had a team, like an organization in town that took essentially like city kids who couldn't like really afford to like be part of an organization, and they could like come do football, and like it was all covered for them and
The
stuff.
teammates program?
I don't remember what it was, but they were bad. Like they were bad. They had
guys are
gone 2
bad.
years. They hadn't won a game in 2 years. We had a great team, like 28-0 end of the first quarter kind of team against them. And so we're going and like we put in our backups and we're like just practicing stuff. So we're like, hey, we're gonna practice going on 3. We're gonna practice like all this stuff that we normally would never do. We get down to like in the third quarter, and one of the parents came down and said that she heard the other parents talking like this team had not only had they not won, but for the last year and a half they had not scored a touchdown. They had not scored at all. And so we're like, all right, we'll let them score. So we tell our kids, hey, this one, like, we're not going to give it to them, but, you know, over 4 or 5 plays, like, let them go down and score. So the funny thing was, like, we had this kid, Phyla, who is just a freak athlete. Legitimately does the thing where the kid's running, and Phyla, you can see him, like, trying to run in slow motion so he doesn't catch him, and then just, like, dives at the end zone to intentionally miss him. But anyway, so they score. And, like, those kids erupted. The fans erupted, like the stadium erupted, like everyone had a great time. They, like, all the parents wrote in letters to the organization saying like how great it was. And so like there's an opportunity for that. Now again, those were 10, 12-year-olds. So like cool. Yeah, when you get into like high school level, especially college and football or college and NFL, like no, just fucking smash them. Like that's what it's about.
Yeah. No, it's no holds barred. I'm not going to piss on in your mouth if your throat's on fire.
No. Yeah.
We're here to fucking watch you die.
Yeah.
And I would expect the same on the other end too.
Yeah. Yeah. We had this kid, Mason, I don't remember his last name, but he was this phenomenal, like he was special strong. Like,
Oh, yep.
like really fast, really athletic. No idea what else was going on in the world, but that's fucking great. We would get to the outside and he would run, and I would see him where all he had to do was keep going to the corner, and he'd get to the end zone untouched, and he would cut back across the field to go find a safety and just fucking truck him, just fucking run him over.
Those kids.
There were kids when I played football that obviously were on another level athletically. I remember this one guy that we played with. It was on my team, but I used to be on the kickoff team, the return team, and I was up front. I was one of the blockers. And you know how you'd start, I think it's 15 yards off of each other, and then you'd run back, they'd kick off, you'd run back, and then you turn and find somebody to block.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be running back to turn, and he'd pass me. And coach was like, hey, what the fuck you doing? You dogging it? I'm like, no.
This is top speed, bro.
I'm like maxed out here. And then so he's like, do it again. And they run it again. And I try even harder, and he fucking passes me again. And then he's like, all right, switch out. And they switch out, and he fucking passed everybody. And he's like, oh no, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I guess he's just passing you guys. I don't know.
Like I've coached against teams like that where kids are like, coach, like, what do I do? I'm like, nothing, man. He's better.
Yeah.
Dude, I loved
You
it.
try to slow him down. That's as good as you can do, man. You're not going to beat him. I'm sorry.
And I was a gunner on special teams. That's like the best position ever.
Oh, on the outside?
Oh, it's so great because you don't have to worry about containment. You're
Dude,
just
I was
going for the
always
ball.
like, not whatever the opposite of the wedge is. So like when the kickoff team would form a wedge and that wedge breaker would just be like fucking crushing, I was the receiving end of that. Like I was always the point on the kick return. Miserable.
Man, I
That's
was
miserable.
They changed all that now, though. The kickoffs are so lame.
It's good
now.
because that was unnecessarily violent.
No, it's
That
awesome.
is what I'm talking about. That's the shit I want. That's everybody wants to see that.
I was a sophomore and I was gunning. I'm just fucking hammered. I'm like right there, and I'm like maybe 3 yards from the kid that has the ball, and I just fucking go airborne.
Someone got you on a cutback.
Yeah, my buddy who was our starting running back just fucking leveled me, and I was just like, he's like, "Get up, bitch."
I remember those when I was playing defense. I get past the line. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking in. The next thing you know, I'm getting up off the ground. Like, what the
Oh, dude,
fuck just happened? I got light up by a running back.
Playing
Yeah.
DN when they do that crackback, and you just get fucking murdered on that side.
There's nothing funnier than when you cleared the line. You're like, oh, you see the quarterback, and you're like, oh yes, and then all of a sudden you get destroyed from your blind spot. You don't even see it coming.
Anytime like I had a clear shot, like my Spidey's like the hair would stand up. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah.
I just assume I'm about to get fucking
somebody's
murdered.
coming.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming from somewhere.
Do you guys remember Jay Moore? Played at Elkhorn, then played at Lincoln. He played in the NFL for a number of years. Anyways, NFL caliber athlete, not NFL caliber athlete. Me, we had to play them, and he was their running back. Surprise! He's like 230, the fastest human on the field. And so for once, they didn't give him the ball to run. And so I come upfield as a defensive end, and I'm like, boom, and I see him in the backfield. So I do a little breakdown, and I turn and I see him coming right at me, and I'm like, fuck yeah. No, not fuck yeah. He fucking murdered me. We were both at a full head of steam. I'm on my back, and he's just continuing to kill kids downfield. Like, there was, imagine it like in Avengers when the wizard lady, she like hits the Hulk and you see his spirit come out of his body and just float off. Like, that's what I felt like happened when he hit me. I was like, boom. I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Look, I'm dying.
Yeah, when you get that one where it a slobber knocker, where like you feel like the snot fly out of your nose because you hit it so fucking hard, and your mouthpiece comes out.
Yeah. But on the other side, like that was one of my favorite things. As an offense, I was a guard. And so I was like a pulling guard most often. And that was fantastic. Like those defensive ends would step upfield, or like an outside linebacker would come up, and you're just like right down behind the line of scrimmage. You just get to fucking ear hole them.
Yeah,
Fucking great.
collision. So what's your prediction? You never said what your number of games is.
I don't know, man. It's hard to say because
7 and 7. Do you think they make a bowl game? What's the bowl game? You have to win 7 games for a bowl game.
Usually it's 500, so I would assume.
No, I thought it was the win. I thought it wasn't the. I thought it was. The
Well, we
seventh
didn't have
game.
enough last year.
Well, no, that's for sure.
Because they were 12 game seasons before.
It's always been 14. 7 home, 7 away.
Then maybe it's
Well,
six.
but it's not conference games. You're right. So there's 2 non-conference. But Nebraska sells. Yeah.
Got to win 6 games, and
Six.
Matt's right, and a winning percentage of 500 to be eligible for a bowl. But I think they always make exceptions to that. Like if
'Cause it'd
we,
be the
if we weren't
academic
if we
bowl.
weren't 500 and we won 6, since we're the Huskers, they'd probably give us
Because
a
our
bowl
fans
game.
travel.
Yeah,
So
There's an obnoxious amount of.
you
bowl
you
games,
calling
though.
500 then?
I'd say 500. Yeah.
How about in the conference?
Let me look at the schedule again.
Well,
it's
if you take out the 2 non-conference games, which would be UTEP and Northern Iowa.
UTEP.
Well, and Colorado. Colorado's a non-conference game too, right? They're Big
Yeah.
12. What do you got, Matt? What's your prediction?
You saying
Yeah,
what is it
sports.
going to be in the conference?
Yeah, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Conference and total.
I'm gonna go with 5 wins in the conference.
So you think 7 and 7,
Yep.
and 5 and 7 in the conference?
Sure, I like that. I honestly have no idea.
That's
I mean-
what I think.
It's so hard because those are just those first 2.
I'm
UTEP and-
I'm guaranteeing you that Colorado game is going to set the tone for the rest of the year.
I will confidently say no national championship.
What about playoffs?
Was
No.
that top?
they're not.
12
Gonna,
12
they're not
teams
going to
now?
make the playoffs.
No,
No,
I don't think so.
that's not happening.
Yeah, I don't.
I'd be happy with a fucking 7-win season and a bowl game.
Or no, I guess it wouldn't be 5 and 7 in the conference because the Colorado game's in a conference game either.
Yeah, let me count.
I would say what I would love to see is just more general consistency. Like
I mean,
even
they were
Well, no, they've been consistent.
I was going to say it was consistent last year, as they were close in most of the games, and then shit the bed at the
Right,
end.
But their
we should
record's
bet at
been
the
pretty
end.
consistent the last few many,
well,
how many years.
I'm not looking at record. I would just look at like play. Like, do we consistently have the same level of play performance from the start of the game to the end of the game.
Yeah, it just like I said, play like you want to fucking destroy them. Who cares?
1, 2.
You want their girlfriends to break up with them. You want like some fucking. You want to destroy
I
their
want their
souls.
grandma to be mad at me.
There's 9 conference games, and I'd say we win 5 of those. So we go 5-4 in the conference.
Oh, so then a bowl game.
Yeah. Because I think we can beat Illinois. That's 1. We'll beat Purdue. That's 2.
Are there
Rutgers 3, 4.
32 bowl games?
Ah, there's so many.
Yeah, 5-4 in the conference.
So what if
Then
there's
that would be it.
160 D1 teams, and almost half of them play in a bowl game every year?
That would make us 10-4 if we win our non-conference games.
You think it's 10-4?
Now that he says it out loud.
Yeah.
You know what? I hope. Even though people probably think I'm a hater the way out here.
Like grumpy old men, you can wish in one hand and shit in the other. See which fills up first.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas all the time, you know? I really do. I am a Husker fan. I hope they do great. I just think that the constant coaching changes and like we've talked about, it's hard to recruit here because it's cold.
That's a shit excuse, though. You think it's nice in Ohio?
But no, I said we're going to wait and see because Ryan, hold on,
Alabama.
hold on though.
No, fuck.
But Ryan Day is kind of on the downhill run. If he doesn't win, he'll be fired after this year, probably at Ohio State. And now with Harbaugh leaving, it'll be interesting to see what Michigan and Ohio State do in the next couple of years because to pay those kids to come there, you have to pay these kids probably more. You know what I mean? To come to a state where, so like, you know, at least Ohio State and Michigan still have the winning tradition, which will probably every dynasty dies. We know that whenever a coach leaves, a dynasty changes. You know, will that taper off and will it be hard to recruit? It's hard for Nebraska to recruit, I'm sure, because you're trying to rebuild that program. You change coaches a lot. The weather's cold. There's nothing to do in Lincoln. I get you're paying these kids to come there, but you know what? They can go to a million Florida schools, a million Texas schools, Alabama, Auburn. You know what I
I
mean?
go to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I still think they're going to have to set up some kind of draft system with the NIL. They have to do something because it's just a fucking Wild West out there. And to make it fair to these other teams.
Even the lower teams develop talent, and then those kids will just leave because they'll, you know.
So it's just going to be hard. It's a hard thing, and I think until the NIL like settles down and levels out or whatever it's going to do, and it probably will at some point, but it's going to be hard. I mean, I hope Nebraska goes to a bowl game this year.
Hopefully, college football doesn't turn into it. It's always the same teams that are good because they have the most money.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. They're going to have to start doing a draft.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you do that because, like Matt said, there's like a million fucking teams. Or do you just say, hey, here's the Power 5 conferences?
Well, they've got to get rid of BCS. Like, that's your first.
Well, yeah, I think they're slowly trying to. But, I mean.
But, I mean, you've got to get rid of BCS and just, I mean, every other collegiate sport follows the regions, right? And they have regional playoffs and super regionals.
But how do you set up a draft? That's the hard part.
Right. But, I mean, no others. But NIL is for all athletics, right? Or is it just football?
It's for all. But now the schools can pay the players now, too. They've changed that.
Yeah. But I'm saying, so it's going to be impacting other sports as well.
Sure.
So, like, there's probably stuff to be learned from others. Like, basketball is one that's had the highest turnover for a long time because you only have to play a year. If you don't go right out of high school, I think you have to play a year of college, and then you can be drafted.
Yeah.
So there's, like, that's one where you can see kids coming and going and having huge turnover and stuff.
I just feel like right now college football is very unorganized.
Yeah, it's a weird tug of war, I think, between the NCAA and BCS.
Well, the NCAA fucked this all up, and then they have no repercussions for it.
I mean, but football brings in so much money that there's a lot more money at play there than I think if football, as in the NCAA, makes and generates and plays with a lot more money than any other sport. Whether it's basketball, I mean, individual schools might have more money in basketball than football, but football in general, nationally, is playing with a lot more money.
Well, just
So
the
it's
sheer
a lot-
attendance. that you
Yeah,
can
it's a
have
bigger platform, so it's more not transparent, visible as
Yeah.
far as like the amount of money that's buying out there and things that you're dealing with 52-man teams versus 11-man teams or even 20-man teams for like baseball or something.
But that'd be my prediction. I'll give Nebraska a bowl game. I think they make a bowl game.
10-4 is probably not in the cards. So we'll
I give
probably
them a bowl
lose more
game, whether
conference games
they're-
than I'm thinking.
Whether they're 6 wins or 7 wins, I think they'll make a bowl game.
I think they'll make a bowl game too.
It'll be like the
Make a
fucking
bowl game at
tax
seven.
A bowl
gator,
of ramen.
the tax gator bowl.
7-7 with a bowl game.
Well, they might be able to go. Now, is that
What's the one that plays in Hawaii? That's the one I'd want to make.
The Honolulu Bowl.
Yeah,
is,
like,
is
let's
that
go
the
there.
one? But does that record have to be your conference record or just your overall win record?
Overall win record.
I
So
think
you
we
have
get
to
it.
go 500 overall and
You gotta
have
go
a 6 wins.
I think it's more important to have the wins.
I think we get 6 wins in a bowl game.
I'm going with 7
But
wins
if
in a bowl game.
there's 14 games in a season, then to have 500 would automatically qualify you to
For
have
the
a
bowl
6
game.
win.
But
Well,
they do
that would
those.
automatically
But
qualify.
sometimes they do those academic bowls or whatever too, where they
Mm-hmm.
let you in.
That's what I'm saying. I guarantee if the Huskers win 6 games, obviously they won't
That's
be
what I'm saying. I think
500.
they'll go
still-
six wins in a bowl game.
That's what'll happen. They'll get a bowl game.
I don't think they'll get 7 just because I don't want to pay 10 or $100. But no, I mean, I hope. Dude, if,
7-7.
dude, if Nebraska went 10 wins, like you said, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean that. Looking at the schedule, I think that's possible. I think that is possible to go 10-4, but they're going to have to do the little things right and not shit the bed at the end of the game every game.
Yeah, and if not, Urban Meyer's still out there.
Oh yeah,
Nick Saban is out there.
Herbert Meyer's out there. Just hide your daughters if he comes.
Hey man,
down.
you know what wins championships? Controversy.
Oh yeah, everywhere he goes, there's controversy.
Oh, was there no controversy in the '90s Huskers?
So they expanded
No,
it then.
not as rampant as it is with Urban Meyer.
so last year,
Scott Frost hiding in a fucking closet.
We're not talking about us.
Okay.
so did they expand it?
We're
Because
not
last
talking-
year Nebraska says it was 5-7. Mm-hmm. So they had 12 game seasons last year.
Yeah, well, the
It
conference
was
is a
5-7
lot.
in the conference.
5-7 overall.
Yeah, the conference is a lot bigger now, so they got to play more games.
5-7 overall, 3-6 in conference.
I thought they had 14 games or 12. Because I thought it
was-
was only 7 home games, 7 away games.
I think they upped it this year because of how big the conference is. Like I
Because they always
said.
have 7 home
Yeah.
games, but that's those non-conference.
Because
games.
this
that must
year
be they add
it's-
those. Okay, the 2 non-conference games.
This year it's 1, 2. Yeah, you counted the games already, right? 1, 2.
Because that would make
3,
sense if you
4.
needed to have like a 6-win season and a 500 in conference to
Wait, hold
qualify
on.
for a bowl game. Like that would make sense.
So there's only 12 games.
Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are only 12 games.
So 10
So-
or no, so only 9 are conference games.
So there's 3 non-conference games, yeah. So I'm sorry, my math is wrong. 9 and 3. Thanks, Matt.
So if they go 6-6, they get a bowl game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll go to a bowl game. 6-6
Yeah.
bowl game. That's my prediction. Matt.
Sure. I don't know.
Okay.
I still think they win 7.
You think they win 7 bowl
7
game?
with a bowl game.
I go 6 bowl game. Matt.
Sports.
Switzerland's over here again, so we'll just fucking
7 with a bowl game. I'm saying 7 with a bowl game because
will-
I am a Husker fan.
So am I. I donated a lot of money to that university over the years.
I know you have.
All right, guys. Well, we covered a lot of nonsense.
That was a good one, I think.
It was good.
Yeah.
Still try to be a little less shitty every day. Like, subscribe, share, follow. And we'll have old Mike. He'll be in town for the next one.
Oh yeah, stay tuned and hear the OG Mike coming back.
Yeah, should be interesting. All right, guys. We appreciate you listening.
Him and Tanner get along well.
Go Big Red. And
Goober.
we'll see you guys next time.